Hello there. Welcome to Management Communication Info. In this video, I want to look at a question from the question paper of November 2024, and we are going to look at question 2 of that question paper, which is on interpersonal communication and social interaction. So our question 2.1 reads the self-image. So you're given information that you're given before the questions. So our information reads, as a return, your first day in a professional environment may be unsettling. You may be inexperienced and would like to make a positive impression. Your self-confidence would need a boost. So the question reads, identify the dimension of the self-image present in each description below. So you would see that the dimension of the self-image, which is the self-image dimension, refers to the various aspects or characteristics that make up an individual's perception, and also we are looking at how an individual view himself or herself. That is the self-image dimension. So on the first one, which is 2.1.1, it means you could doubt your ability to understand new concepts fast enough. So we need to identify the dimension of the self-image, which is matching what the statement that we have on 2.1.1. So you would see that the appropriate one is intellectual dimension. Remember, intellectual dimension recognizes one's creative mental activities and also stimulating mental activities. So that is our intellectual dimension. And you see that in the statement that we have on 2.1.1, we have got the issue of one doubting your ability to understand your understanding new concepts fast enough. So you'd see that the most appropriate one is intellectual dimension. So, having that, we move on to the second part of our question, which says, make an effort to be sociable, contribute ideas in meetings, and set your boundaries. So, we would also want to see which one is the appropriate one in terms of the dimension of the self-image. So, you would see that this is psychological dimension. Remember, psychological dimension, it reflects the beliefs and perceptions of individuals about relations between groups. That is psychological intervention. So if you look at 2.1.2, it reads make an effort to be sociable, contribute ideas in meetings, and set your boundaries. So you see that this is the interaction that is taking place between an individual and a group of people, which is basically in meetings and as you interact in the society. So basically, that becomes the psychological intervention part becomes the most appropriate. So that's what we have on 2.1.2. So moving on to 2.1.3, it reads, if you are computer literate and communicate well with others, you will likely be successful at work. So basically, we'd say that we have got the issue of being computer literate, which means it's associated with the skills, and we'd say that the correct dimension that we have is skills dimension, which refer to the different aspects or angles in which skills can be viewed. So that's what we have on 2.1.3. So moving on to the second part of our question, which is 2.2. What 5 points of advice can you give to boost self-esteem at work? So we need to understand what is a self-esteem so that we can be able to uh, give 5 points of advice that can be given to boost us self-esteem. So I would say that self-esteem involves confidence in one's own worth and also confidence in your abilities or morals. So basically, we are saying self-esteem encompasses beliefs about oneself as well as emotional states such as pride and also shame. So that's what we have in terms of description of self-esteem. So going back to our question, it needs 5 points of advice you can give to boost self-esteem at work. So you'll see that we have a rundown of those advices, other section whereby we are saying uh, don't compare yourself to others or your colleagues, so that obviously you can boost your confidence. Secondly, be adaptable, flexible in terms of time, place, and job duties. Proactive, do before and anticipate your boss's needs. Uh, Raise your hand in meetings, that is a volunteering, and then be sociable, that is greet and make small talk to your colleagues and clients. So we have other points also that can fit to be advice that can be given. So if we go to the question, you would see that our question only requires us to raise 5 points. So moving on to the next question, which is going to be 2.3. Maslow argues that workers are motivated when their needs are satisfied. So the first question, 2.3.1, name three needs on Maslow's hierarchy. Uh, how should the work environment satisfy each need? So the first part is to name needs on Maslow hierarchy, and then we uh, explain how should the work environment satisfy each need. So you'd see that the Maslow hierarchy, it is a theory proposing that humans are motivated by a hierarchy of needs, progressing from basic physiological needs. Remember, the basic physiological needs are the needs that one cannot live without. So it's a range from basic physiological needs to self-actualization needs. So that's what we've in terms of the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So our question only requires us to raise three needs. So you'd see that we have got those needs in the other section, whereby the first one we are saying it is the self-actualization need is the first one, which is explained as must show potential explored. So to see that self-actualization, this is the highest level where individuals strive to reach their full potential and become the best versions of themselves. So at self-actualization level, that's where someone tries to become the best out of himself or herself. That is a self-actualization need. And if we move on to the second one, is the esteem, which is respect, self-respect, which is described as obviously in the form of awards, recognition, and praise. That is self-esteem. So, self-esteem, basically, we are saying it involves confidence in one's own worth, abilities, or morals. So, you'd see that self-esteem encompasses beliefs about oneself as well as emotional states such as pride and shame. That is a self-esteem. Then we move on to affiliation, which is a team's meeting. So, on affiliation, you'd see that we can also see that it involves a love and belonging needs, whereby people desire social connection, including friendships, and obviously, and also intimacy is also part of uh, affiliation. That's what we have on affiliation. Then the next one we've got a security, safety needs, which is related to job security benefits. So on safety needs, we are saying it is a security. It is described also as security needs, and we are saying in this case, individuals seek safety and security, including personal security, and also it also includes the issue of financial security and the in terms of health and well-being is also part of safety and needs. So we move on to the last one is physiological needs, which is described as basic needs. So these are the most basic needs for survival, including food, water, shelter, sleep, and even breathing is also part of physiological needs. So this is what we have. Remember, our question only requires us to work on three needs. And then our last part of our question reads what are multicultural differences, and then show how this could be barriers to social interaction. So you see that multicultural differences refers to the variations in customs. It might be variations in beliefs, variations in values, and also variations in behaviors that exist between individuals from different cultural backgrounds. So the basic is that we have got different cultural backgrounds that are leading to variations in terms of beliefs, in terms of values, customs, and also behaviors. So our question needs us to define what cultural differences are on the first part. So the description that we have according to this video reads, About cultural differences are differences which occur between individuals who belong to different cultural groups. They do not share the same language, beliefs, habits, and practices. So if you check the second part of the question, it says, what are the sorry, show how these could be barriers to social interaction. So you see that from the description, you see that we have got the issue of language differential in terms of languages. Obviously, we that's where we are going to see a variation. So on the first part is saying different languages are spoken in the workplace. This could create alienation and barriers. So that's where we are seeing the issue of barriers. Language basically is the main source of barriers that can emanate in workplaces. And then also have the issue of attitudes of superiority, in brackets, ethnocentrism, where one's culture may be dominant within the company culture. So basically, if you see ethnocentrism, is actually the practice of studying and making judgments about other societies in terms of one's own cultural assumptions or bias. So we are trying to interpret one culture based on your own culture. So that will be the creation of barriers in workplaces. So that's what we have on the second part. Then the last part, we've got different practices, attitudes such as dress and timekeeping. So obviously, the different approaches to dressing also can be a source of barrier that we can see at workplaces. So basically, that's what we have for this video. And thank you for listening. And hopefully, the video was helpful. And please, let's take note about typical examination questions will be uploaded on this channel. So let's stay tuned. We'll meet again in the next video.